Here's Brody Brazil.
You know, this is something I have suggested before. In fact, early on, I didn't even think it was a possibility. But as time goes on and more people mention it and there's some reasoning behind it, I think there is a case for expansion with Major League Baseball in Oakland if, in fact, the A's are approved to relocate to Las Vegas. And I don't know the odds of this. I'm not telling you it's a certainty. I'm not even saying that it's a likelihood. I'm just starting to see more of a case for it and a lot of different reasons why this isn't impossible. How about we say it like that? Because there is a certain trade-off right now. Oakland has something that baseball wants. They've got a potential home for the team for 2024. Oh yeah, and 2025, 26, and 27 before a stadium in Las Vegas would be ready. Because let's face it, the A's playing at Oracle Park in San Francisco, how's that going to work? So many T's to be crossed and I's to be dotted and so many things that make that really seem unlikely. Or the same thing with the A's playing 3 full seasons in a minor league facility. There's a lot of problems with that too. The Coliseum's not great, but it could continue to serve as a major league home for years before the A's were to ultimately move. So Oakland has that. Major League Baseball has all the keys in their hand and the ability to keep Major League Baseball in Oakland. And that's what the city of Oakland should want. That's what the county of Alameda should want. And if that's the last option for A's fans, in my opinion, that's something they should at least be interested in. Can we just have this discussion? This is a little bit unorganized. There's not one streamlined path to get to everything here. So let's kind of throw out all the big points here and go over them one by one. If this is going to be even a potential, this trade-off, Oakland has to be ready. They need a turnkey site. They need an ownership group that has no questions about it. There is no room for error here. You can't screw this up. There's no takebacks. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. No room for error. If you're going to ask this of Major League Baseball, you've got some work to do, and you better be ready for it. You better be ready ahead of time for it. The thing is, you'll have ample time to do this. Probably 24 and 25, at least 2 full years to figure out your site. And maybe it's not Howard Terminal. Maybe it's the Coliseum site. But even now with the A's ownership of half of that, that could be a challenge. What ownership group? What's the right ownership group? Who's the mix of people? How do they come in? Can they fully fund everything? And are they good for it now, 5 years from now, and 15 years from now? So Oakland has to be ready. They've got to get all that together. Quite honestly, if I'm the mayor, if I'm somebody in the county, a supervisor, those are things I better already be thinking about. What about an expansion fee? Would Major League Baseball apply that? You'd think. But then again, why aren't they applying a relocation fee to the A's? This is a unique situation. The Kansas City Royals, when they became that, they didn't have an expansion fee that anybody documented or knows about. And it was a similar situation. The A's left Kansas City. Baseball gave Kansas City a new team. There you go. Sorry about that. Does it come at an extra $2 billion cost? Because if that does, it's going to be difficult for any new ownership group to try and start something in Oakland. Will it be waived? Will it be deferred? It gets super complicated here. The precedent, the expectations, that better be settled right away. Not a surprise, not a half promise, not a we changed our minds. It either needs to exist or not. And quite honestly, it either needs to exist for relocation and expansion or not at all. How would fans feel? Now, I can't speak for all of them, and I do want to say it's probably across the board here. I mean, the opinions and sentiments are across the board in multiple different places. I recognize some people will look at a new expansion team in Oakland and say, that's not the A's. And the A's are what I grew up with, and the A's are what I wanted, and they left. So they won't feel the same because it's not the A's. Now, maybe it's also not the A's because the A's take their name, their likeness, and their colors, and they move to Las Vegas. And the new team in Oakland is actually called something else. But it could even be like a Cleveland Browns situation. It's a totally different team. They keep the name. They keep all the the trademarks. It's still the Oakland A's, but it's not. But in some people's minds, it just won't be the same. And I understand that sentiment. I think I kind of side right here in the middle that there would be a lead-in to this new team's existence that people could get excited for. Like you don't have your team yet. But if this is something that's granted to you in 2024, and it will happen by 2028, you're going to get a new team. You're going to get to build this thing from scratch, your team, your stadium. I don't want to say you're building your fan base from scratch, but you have the ability to be at the very start of something brand new, something that is entirely yours. But I'll tell you this, as I've seen fans react on social media, the one pessimism that definitely exists is that, oh yeah, well, baseball will make a promise to us, but they'll back out of it. So this is the thing that I 1,000% agree with, is that Oakland and its fans would need a 1,000% guarantee that this is going to happen. There can't be any ifs, ands, or buts about that either. Oakland needs to come through and deliver, but Major League Baseball would need to come through and deliver as well. I realize fans are all across the map on this. Some people wonder, well, why would Major League Baseball go back to Oakland if one of their teams is leaving? They're leaving for a reason, right? Well, a couple obvious things stand out. Number one, this is still a major market. This is a large region. There's a lot of people here, and they've loved baseball for a long time, but everybody should have some sort of sense of what took place in Oakland. This is not a team that spent on its players and kept its players and did every last thing to try and appease the fan base. Anytime things got good in Oakland, the team would revert to bare bones again, over and over, and a stadium that kept aging, and a possum problem that was never appropriately attended to or remedied. And this is not like curing cancer. You can get rid of a possum problem if you really wanted to. So I think baseball is aware of what took place, and that this is not a situation where there's not enough people, not enough fans, not enough support. In fact, maybe baseball would realize that there is a hunger here, now more than ever. When you're missing something and it's being taken away from you, you want it even more than you already did. So maybe baseball will see that part of it and understand, well, this is a prime market and a prime opportunity, I don't want to say to give back, but to strike here with Oakland. Maybe that exists. And in all of this, I know people are thinking, well, you're reaching here, Brazil. Is it really that far-fetched? I told you before about the Kansas City Royals. They started in 1969. You know why? Because the year or a year and a half before that, the A's were approved to move to Oakland. Baseball said, okay, Kansas City, you got your stadium figured out? You do? Okay, we'll give you a new team. You can call it the Royals. How about the Cleveland Browns when they became the Baltimore Ravens? The whole Art Modell thing. The NFL was basically forced to not only keep a team or have a new team in Cleveland, but also keep the name Browns and colors and logo and all that stuff. So it's happened in baseball, it's happened in football, heck, it's even happened in the NBA. Remember the old Charlotte Hornets, like the Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues Charlotte Hornets? It's actually a different Charlotte Hornets these days. That team moved to New Orleans, early 2000s? Can't remember. They were given a team back. In fact, weren't they the Bobcats first and then now the Hornets again? My point is that if you're saying, oh, this is a, once in a lifetime chance. No, I mean, this stuff, well, at least these last two things, have happened in my lifetime alone across different sports, different situations. So maybe it's not so far-fetched. You made it here to the end of the video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.